Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a like up. It had to happen. The Young and the Restless eventually had to introduce a character who is powerful and charismatic enough to replace Victor and Jack as Genoa City's most powerful tycoon. If it only maintained the status quo forevermore, we'd be left with nothing but lather, rinse, repeat variations of Victor and Jack's endless feud. So it is with some excitement that we look forward to the introduction of Aristotle Dumas. You've heard about the mystery man already, and if you are a regular visitor to soaps.com, you've read about him too. If you missed our article explaining the significance of his name, you can catch up here. He doesn't sound like your run-of-the-mill businessman. He sounds like he's destined to make a far greater impact than, say, Tucker, who during his return to Genoa City laid a million plots, none of which ever actually hatched. We wouldn't be surprised if Aristotle didn't even bother to go toe-to-toe with Victor and Jack. We imagine he'll be above it all, so wealthy and omnipotent that he's like, nah, I don't want your puny companies. I have 204 of my own, thanks. Wouldn't that get Victor's goat? The introduction of Aristotle not only will electrify the canvas with a new mover and shaker, it will give the women of Genoa City, hallelujah, a potential love interest besides their exes. We all assume that Sharon is going to wind up back with Nick. But if she catches Aristotle's eye, would that reunion be as sure of a thing? Similarly, we predict that Phyllis and old flame Billy will re-hook up, especially after her Valentine's Day dream. Aristotle could hang a big old question mark over that rerun, presenting Phyllis with an appealing and intriguingly unknown option. He might even wake up Victoria and make her see that the faint light in her eyes when she's with cold pales in comparison to the sparks that she could throw with him. Best of all, we get to keep Victor and Jack front and center. They will just have to grapple with the fact that they are no longer the only, and certainly not the biggest, game in town. Aristotle might even turn Nikki and Diane's heads. You know, just for fun. What do you think? Are you looking forward to meeting Mr. Big Stuff? Genoa City has always been a battlefield of power, ambition, and legacy. For decades, two titans, Victor Newman and Jack Abbott, stood at the center of the storm, their rivalry shaping the very fabric of the town. Their boardroom battles, personal vendettas, and occasional reluctant alliances were the stuff of legend. But now, the unthinkable has happened. The torch has been passed, not to an heir or a long-lost relative, but to an outsider, Aristotle Dumas, a name that now echoes across every corridor of Newman Enterprises and J-Bot Cosmetics. When Aristotle Dumas first arrived in Genoa City, few took notice. A former venture capitalist with a taste for disruption, Dumas was the kind of man who didn't just enter a room, he took command of it. Whispers of his past successes followed him, but it wasn't until he set his sights on the city's two most powerful dynasties that people began to realize the seismic shift that was coming. Dumas didn't just challenge Victor and Jack. He outmaneuvered them at their own game. It started with a seemingly minor investment in a struggling cosmetic startup. But like a chess master plotting 5 moves ahead, he turned that investment into a wedge, leveraging his way into J-Bot's boardroom, and then playing Newman Enterprises against itself. For years, Victor Newman had ruled his empire with an iron fist. He built Newman Enterprises from the ground up, fending off challengers with the kind of ruthless business acumen that made him both feared and respected. Jack Abbott, his perennial rival, was no slouch either. A visionary in his own right, Jack fought tooth and nail to uphold the Abbott legacy, often clashing with Victor in the process. But Aristotle Dumas was different. He wasn't just another corporate shark looking for a quick win. He was a strategist who knew when to strike and when to bide his time. He watched, learned, and waited for the perfect moment. Jack's downfall came first. Dumas orchestrated a merger between J-Bot and a cutting-edge biotech firm, a move that initially appeared to be a stroke of genius. But buried in the fine print was a clause that gave Dumas unprecedented control over the company's future. By the time Jack realized what had happened, it was too late. His family's company was no longer under his control. Victor, ever the fighter, saw what was coming. But even he couldn't stop the inevitable. A leaked scandal, a stock plummet, and a well-timed acquisition later, and suddenly, the Newman empire was no longer Newman's. Victor found himself outmaneuvered in a way he hadn't been in decades. Aristotle Dumas wasn't just a challenger. He was the next evolution of corporate warfare. With Victor and Jack pushed out of power, The question on everyone's mind is clear. What does Aristotle Dumas want? Unlike his predecessors, Dumas doesn't seem interested in mere financial gain. He speaks of innovation, of breaking the old ways and building something new. He envisions a future where business isn't just about power plays and legacy. It's about evolution. But in a city like Genoa, where loyalty runs deep and revenge is a way of life, it won't be long before the former kings make their move. Victor and Jack may be down, but they're far from out. The war for Genoa City's future has only just begun.